All right, welcome back to the Command Influence PR podcast, and we are very excited. This is episode 2, and we have a special guest, John Pantalis from Living Ratio Chocolates. And I got to tell you, I had the opportunity to meet this gentleman. He lives here in our building, and not only does he have the best chocolate around, but he's just an all-around really, really cool guy. He's a great person, and so we're glad to have you on, John. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Hey, thanks, man. It's an honor to be on here.
Well, you are doing some pretty interesting things, and I had a chance to try one of your products not too long ago. It was about a couple weeks ago. You happened to run into we ran into each other in the elevator, and I saw you downstairs, and then you happened to introduce me to this, and so I'll see if I can get a shot there.
That's right.
This stuff is amazing. So tell me, I mean, because we're going to talk a little bit about, all things involved with this business and what you've been up to. But, just kind of tell me what gave you the idea to start a chocolate company. And I know that you changed names, you rebranded, which I love the packaging, by the way. But just tell me what gave you this idea to start a chocolate company?
It's a long story, but it started with my love of food. When I was younger, I liked sweets, I liked unhealthy stuff, and then I got into business in a very, very unconventional way. I have kind of a wild story, and we can unpack that a little bit.
Okay, please tell us. I mean, I want to hear it all.
Yeah, so I did very bad in school. I was not a good student. I loved learning. I just didn't like, the school curriculum, everything. I was a little bit dyslexic, had slow processing speed, as they called it.
Right.
So I was just very disenchanted with that system. And, when you aren't feeling good, you try to find ways to feel good. So, at the time, drugs, things like that were a solution for me. Right. So I got, in trouble in California, or in Texas rather, and I moved to California with my grandparents. So I basically, 18, I was going to community college, started hanging out with career criminals and very interesting people, but there was a lot, I learned networking. I'll just put it that way. I learned how to network, and I met one guy on the internet, and he was a figure at the time in that industry, the cannabis industry. And I was able to, kind of drop his name and kind of work my way into other circles. And, at the time I had no idea what I was doing, but it did lead me onto a path where I was able to, find some sort of success. And then, I then got very disenchanted with that business. I didn't want to do it. Ultimately, I wanted to help more people. And I was actually telling the story to a friend earlier, but the chocolate itself, the first version of the product, and I haven't told this story to anyone except for him in a very long time. So I'll tell it again now. But basically, I had to break my lease or end my lease in a condo that I was living in because they were selling it. And I guess they offered me like a month's rent to move out, my roommate and I. And we were like, all right, cool. So I walk across the street to the leasing office of the identical building across the street. And there's this guy who's, he's dressed nice in a suit. And I'm just like a raggedy hippie at the time, right? But he's all dressed nice. And he's like, hey, yeah, you're going to have to wait. I can't, I'm not going to be able to help you. You're going to have to like wait for the leasing lady to come here. And I was like, something in my ego, like something about it. I think I was like 19 years old at the time. I was just like, I want this guy to take me seriously. So I was like, hey, what's up with the commercial spaces over there? And he's like, oh, like, what do you do? And I said, I have a chocolate company. Now, I had barely made chocolate. I'd made some chocolate. I had a little bit of chocolate experience, but mostly it was like edibles and cannabis stuff, right?
Right.
So anyways, he was like, well, I'd love to try your product. I'm like, all right, great. He showed me the space and the lease and everything. And that whole weekend, I stayed up, all night, all day, formulating chocolate because I wanted to start like a chocolate shop or something, outside of the business that I was in. So I put something together, and I remember his wife called me and she was like, this is the best chocolate I've ever tried. We've traveled the world. They had like a, $20 million house in Strawberry, California, like Marin County. Like they seem to me, they seem like very successful people. Right. Long story short, I try to sum it up a little bit, but I ended up, he wanted to give me a lease to the space. So I scraped up the money that I had, and I went to sign the lease, but I didn't have anyone in my family that would co-sign.
Right.
So I came to him on the day that I was supposed to finalize the paperwork, and I was like, hey, like, I'm sorry, like I couldn't and I had no credit, like no proof of anything at the time, right? Uh, and he, for some reason, he was like, no one in your family, not your father, no one. And I'm like, no, I couldn't really convince anyone. And he was like, he just like, I remember him shaking his head and having his secretary just shred the lease and rewrite it to just put it him and me. So he believed in me, and he was like, you're going to make this successful. He's like, this is going to work. So he let me sign the lease, which, I mean, honestly was sort of a horrible idea because I had no idea what I was doing at all, like at all. But nonetheless, he let me sign the lease, and he was supposed to do some of the construction. Well, things didn't happen on schedule, and I started to get a little bit concerned. And one day, because I lived a block away from there, right?
Right.
One day I saw him and his attorney walking around, and I just confronted him like, "Hey, what's going on? I paid you money, like." And he's like, well, we're going to have to do it without permits. Like, we're going to have to, he seemed like really evasive. Something felt wrong. And I remember walking by his office and seeing him in the office, like late, just like it seemed like something very stressful was happening.
Right.
Well, a few days later, or I think maybe the next day, actually, the feds and the county and a bunch of other cops came and raided his office and his house and his lawyer's office and his lawyer's house, 2 bank executives and their offices and houses. And so it turned out that he was, and I actually met this guy, he was working with this guy to take out loans because he was banned from borrowing because he had defaulted on the loans for that exact building. And he had a guy that he owed money to, and he said, hey, I'll pay you back if you take out loans. We already have it all set up with these bankers. If you take out the loans for us, then transfer the ownership to us afterwards. Well, that guy had already gotten in trouble with the feds, so he was wearing a wire the whole time. And so, anyways, long story short, him and his attorney and the bankers get charged with like 30-something felonies. What? And they all bailed out. And this guy, he drove off a cliff.
Are you serious?
Yep. And so
he drove off a cliff. That's horrible.
I mean, the people that. I could tell he was sad. I could tell there was something going on. I'm not really sure. He had some other pending insurance fraud felonies. So in addition to what the other guys were dealing with, he had some other, he just, I guess he took it really bad. 2008, 2009, he lost everything. And he, as I started working on the factory, there were dozens of people that I met that had been ripped off by him. Wow. So it was kind of an interesting thing because he had a really good reputation at one time, and then when he lost it, he turned bad. So obviously he had good intention for me.
Sure.
But it was a very crazy crash course into business because it took about 2 years before his lawyer came back, who he's in prison now, and the bank people are in prison now. But it took about 2 years, and his lawyer came back and was like, "Hey, we need all the background," because they weren't cashing checks. There was no one to talk to. And so I had that 2 years to figure out my life, like figure out everything. During that time, the chocolate that I let him try was sugary, very good tasting chocolate. Like I would make these milk chocolate truffles with a brown butter ganache and little bits of caramel. I mean, it's really good stuff.
Wow. Sounds
fantastic. Yeah, but very different than what we do now. Because during that 2 years, I had a big health transformation. I realized that the sugar and everything was causing a lot of problems for me. And in the cannabis business, where I was selling to dispensaries, and I've never talked about this publicly before. I figured, let's do it.
Hey, but I love it, man. I mean, I think it's real, and it's what happened, and so I think people will appreciate the fact that you're sharing this story. So I thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm ready. There was a time in my life where I didn't really want to talk about it, but I feel like I'm ready to just be very open about it now. But basically, like I remember going to dispensaries and selling my product. This was back in the Wild West days. There weren't a lot of regulations,
right?
But I remember going there and selling my products and then being like, well, sugar's bad for you. And like, here I am selling this sugary stuff. And I was just so passionate about the problems with sugar.
Right.
I was like, basically literally like, you don't want to buy these, do you?
Right.
And I had some very interesting, that's probably for another time, but I had some very interesting experiences in that industry, just things that you would only see in movies and stuff. It was just, absolutely wild. But
so that brings up a question real quick, because you said something that this guy believed in you, and he started. I guess he tore up the original lease. He, I guess, drew. He put together a new lease, I guess, and then he let you take I guess he co-signed for you, I guess.
Or him and I, because he was at the time the owner of the building. But once the feds got involved,
right,
it got dicey because the feds took the property because he had there was like a investment firm that bought some of the property, or like they took some sort of stake in it. And I was working with them and his attorney. They were trying to help me, but his attorney was not. I believe out of all the four, his attorney was kind of the instigator of all
the ringleader of this whole deal.
Yeah, like
Did he invest any money in the business?
No.
So no money, just he basically helped you find a location. And then for the 2 years, were you just rent free, or what was going on?
Yeah, I was rent free until they came back for the rent. Yes.
And then by that point, though, it gave you 2 years to get this business up, running. Yeah. Was the business profitable in the first 2 years?
No, not at all. I was doing other things on the side for sure.
Okay. Whatever. So like most businesses, you were burning capital, you were trying to figure it out, you were investing in the business, and at some point, obviously you realize, okay, this is a bad situation for me here. 2 years, I don't really have a place. So what happens? I mean, at this point, where do you decide that you're going to just up and move the business? What transitions here?
So I got all the permits for the space, worked with the city, did all this stuff, and made it legit. And then around that time, his attorney just came out of the blue and was like, "Hey, I started getting letters like pay $10,000 in 10 days, or you're gonna get evicted." And I was like, literally after all this investment, because I was like the floors. I remember like sleepless nights, just sitting there, like the floors are gonna be like $6,000-7,000, and I'm like, I remember just sitting down like. Frankly, I was in tears. I was just sitting there like, how am I going to do this? It was those moments, like where I almost remember everything that happened that day when I got that letter. I remember I cut my arm. I think I still have a scar on my arm on the hot water heater. Like I try to do a lot of stuff myself, but like I remember every conversation I had that day. I could just close my eyes and see it all. It was one of those days where it was like this. That was when shit got real.
And how many years ago was this?
I want to say that was 2014 or 2015. So
not that long ago.
No, not at all.
So you've come a long ways. You definitely created some great products. I mean, I know other people that have tried your products and they have just raving reviews and say it's an amazing product. And I had a chocolate bar. I know that you gave me as well when you gave me this. And when I tried that chocolate bar, I remember sitting down talking to you, and within about 15 to 20 minutes, I ate the whole chocolate bar. Yeah. And I'm not a big chocolate guy. I mean, just to be honest with you, right? So it was interesting to me that I took one bite of this chocolate bar, and the next thing I know, I look down, the whole bar is gone. I mean, it's just that good. It's a great product. But you originally started with another name, and then the brand changed, and that happened recently, right? So
November.
Okay, so almost a year ago now. So what happened? What caused the change? What was the original name, and what caused this change?
So the original name was Kind, and like I didn't know anything about naming businesses. It was just like phi means golden ratio, and before that it was Kind because I like wanted to do pies. So I just did a little riff of that to like make it make more sense, but it still had nothing to do with anything, and it didn't sound clean to me, not easy to remember. I wanted something more memorable, and the more what I realized, if I continued to grow, I needed something that could be somewhat recognizable, memorable, or sound familiar at least.
Okay.
And so after months of it was a very long process, months of agonizing, we settled on living ratio, which is still sort of a nod to what we were doing before, but to me, it sounds a lot better and makes a lot more sense because it's like, the right proportions for a healthy life.
Right.
That's a lot easier to understand than what we were, when I was back in.
Well, I like the name. I think it's a great name, great product. And so, what's going on now? Are you guys just selling online? Are you selling in stores? What's the plan? What's the vision for the company? Where do you see it going? What do you want to do with the business?
Sure. So some of it I might not want to talk about yet, but
okay.
But I will say that right now we're continuing to grow online. We've had to do a lot of internal changes just to be like, cutting back on number of products, things like that, so that we're just more easy to scale. Right. But a lot of our business is the 20-piece luxury truffle collections, like what I gave you a few minutes ago.
Right.
And those are very, there's nothing like it. There's no chocolate that you can buy that is decorated with real food-based color, 100% organic. There's nothing like it.
I'm going to open it up
And
while you're talking
yeah, oh,
about
please,
this
yeah,
because
please open it, take a look at it. And, you know, it's one of those things where we still want to focus on that luxury high end chocolate because it's keto friendly organic chocolate that is also like a luxury gift that you could give to someone that doesn't even eat healthy and they'll like it. So there's really nothing like it. So we realized that the retail style packaging that we had before, which was like 4-piece truffles, that was fine. Like we were in like 50 something grocery stores at one time. But
oh,
you
okay.
know, we hit a point where online we were doing more sales in a day than we were in all of our stores combined, and we were almost never making money in we were just spinning our wheels in stores. You know, it was a very intense thing. I mean, I slept in my car driving up and down the coast. You know, just I remember this one trip distinctly when I was in Oregon. I hit so many stores in Oregon, and not a single store bought. You know, just stuff like that. Where you know, I had a strategy, right? I would call the store and say, "Hey, what was the name of your buyer for packaged goods again?" And they would say, "Oh, you know, it's Mandy or whatever." And I'd be like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And I write the name down, and then a few days later, I call and say, "Hey, I'm here to speak with Mandy." And then I'd be like, "Hey, like I have this chocolate," and of course, no grocery store buyer wants to talk to someone who's trying to pitch them. So I never knew anything about sales, and I probably could have done a lot better had I known something about it.
Right.
But really, when I started the business, when I signed that lease, when I got going, I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. I didn't even know the definition of that name. I was talking to my friend earlier today, and he's kind of in a similar circle that I think we're all in. And it was actually I was listening to an interview, a Genius Network interview with Joe Polish. I don't know if you know who that is,
Yes.
but I was I was listening to an interview with him, and I think that's when I finally realized. Listened to David Wolf and Joe Polish, and then I listened to his interview with Richard Branson, and I was like, oh, okay, like that entrepreneur. And at first, I was like, I don't even like what is the at that time I was kind of had a different mindset than I do now. I was like, what is this stuff like, making money thing? I just wanted, I was very vision driven. I was very vision and product driven. I wasn't money driven. I think now I realize the impact that money can have and like what you can do for the people that are part of the vision. Once you start having people work for you, you want them to do well and you want them to have something to strive for. And you have to have your vision really, really big so that, you can create a life that's great, not for just yourself. It's selfish to stay small. It's selfish to just take care of yourself. And I realized that the benefit of helping a bunch of other people in your company, outside your company, yeah, you're going to make more money, but it's like you can have a holistic view to it still. So that's what, that's my mindset now about those sorts of things.
I love that. I love the fact that you're thinking big and that you're thinking, look, you want to bring people into the fold and you want to help people. That's fantastic. And, there's not a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there that have that mindset. There's a lot of people that are very selfish in the e-commerce and business space, and all they think about is themselves, unfortunately. And so when you're thinking like that, that's admirable. So I can appreciate that. And I'm glad that you said that. So let me ask you a couple of things about the chocolates, because these look great, right? These look fantastic. You got the card in here. It's got a description card. It talks about the different flavors that you have in here. And then you have a description of the back of the ingredient deck, and it's pretty simple ingredients. And it's really fascinating because I was like looking around, like where are all the ingredients? And it's pretty simple ingredients, which is awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you though, is the packaging this, or is this kind of like a prototype, or what's,
so those are more of our like luxury travel collection. So those have more simple packaging. We're actually about to release a patterned gold foiled version of that. It's still going to be a very simple box,
right?
But it'll look a lot nicer. It'll be really cool. We kind of have this. I don't think I have any cards around the show, but we have this it's almost like a Louis Vuitton type of pattern.
Nice.
that goes on our new boxes and stuff, and it's really elegant. It looks really nice. So that'll be coming soon, but that's generally how they've been sold. So the new versions are going to be just like out of this world.
So right now, are you shipping all over the United States, all over the world? Where are you distributing this chocolate? Where are you guys selling this to? I mean, I know it's online, obviously, but
yeah. So all 50 states and Canada.
Nice.
So we have a little bit of Canada. It's less than 1% of our sales, but we got a few big Canada orders this month. So
very cool.
Some people that buy bulk.
So where's the biggest demand for your chocolate? Where's it coming from right now?
Our biggest cities would be LA, like Austin, Texas, New York, and then Florida. So which is Florida is not ideal because it's harder to ship chocolate there, but so Arizona's not ideal either. But so that I would say that West Coast is still pretty. I'd say like 30% of our business. So then it spreads out.
So you definitely are cross country with the product, and obviously that creates logistical challenges. And I'm assuming you're using some type of carrier to get it there, UPS, FedEx, somebody getting the product there to customers, and so.
Yep.
Because it's chocolate, you're having to get it there pretty quick, right?
Yep. It's got to be on ice, and it's got to be done, pretty quick. So it's 2 to 3 day shipping, and then we've got it down. Like granted, sometimes it's less than 1% though. It's much less than 1%. Some chocolate's gonna melt, or if somebody leaves it in a mailbox,
Yeah.
That and that'll do it. Usually like those those outdoor mailboxes, like those metal ones.
Yep.
Those are like ovens. Those will do it. Those will take it out. But other than that,
Sure.
we have a pretty high success rate, even in Arizona. So
that's cool. That's great. And I'm really glad that you guys are doing so well. So let me ask you just a question that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business minds are probably wondering, like, where do you find the biggest challenges within your business right now? What are the biggest struggles? Because it's great to hear about all the wins, but there's struggles, right? There's pain points. So what are they for you?
There's a few, definitely a few right now. Finding good people is always hard. I feel like I've been very lucky lately with that on the higher level things, like writers and people like that are more on the creative side, the top people. I'm having a lot of luck there.
Okay.
I feel like I'm actually better at working with those people, but when it comes to the factory itself, it's hard. It's very hard. And that's something that, especially having the factory in California still, the job, it's a very difficult economy out there. Just very, very difficult.
And you're using a co-packer for your product, right? At this point,
not for the chocolate, for the
you're using your own factory.
Powder, we have our own factory. Yep.
Oh, that's so cool. So you can control everything at this point.
Yeah, and there's something about having our own production that's it's hard to we've been exploring co-packer options. We haven't even gotten close yet to finding someone that's willing, or we're still looking. If anyone's listening and they want to take on something, but our chocolate is very unique, so it is hard to.
I got a couple people that I'll refer you to in the Dallas Fort Worth area that do some co-packing. They do all kinds of stuff, and we'll talk after.
Yeah, that'd be
share
interesting.
Some context with you, but and see if they might be able to help you, or even maybe lead you in a direction where you can find some help in that area. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, because I know that your product right now is B2C online.
Yes.
Do you have a plan to maybe go back into stores at some point? Are you seeing demand from retailers? Are you starting to get calls at this point saying, "Hey, we want to carry your chocolate"? And
we do.
Now that you have that leverage, you have the ability to say, "Well, I'll bring the product in, but here's what I need."
We do, but we're still not ready for it. It's still a capacity thing, like where we really want to focus on our just customer acquisition and just having more of just continue to grow our lists and everything. Like I still think that I want to really max out what we can do on a direct to consumer standpoint. Eventually, yes, and I have. So I will tell you this: I don't want to go into retail. I want to create our own retail.
Okay.
And it's going to be beyond the chocolate. It's going to be something a little bit more familiar and something a little bit more in the line of the drink mix.
Oh, nice.
I think that's all I'm going to say. But I want to take on the big giants, if you will, that are doing retail beverages like the Starbuckses and stuff.
Interesting.
And the way I think about it is like, even if a retail location, say we don't have the same numbers as say a Starbucks, revenue or profit wise,
right?
You know what? Being online or being in a store, I know a company that was doing 9 figures at Whole Foods, and then Whole Foods decided that they just didn't want to carry. Amazon bought them a year later. All of a sudden, they just say, "Hey, we don't want to carry you anymore. We're going to throw our own granola or whatever," and they became a 7-figure company overnight.
Wow.
That's something I don't want to. I've seen too much of that. I have no companies that were doing really well in the chocolate space, and they were in all the Whole Foods regional. Then they start, expanding out, and then one day, that maybe the product gets fatigued, whatever it is, and they weren't innovating enough. Because in retail, like you need something kind of revolving to keep the numbers up. And sometimes you have to lose money for quite a while to make it work.
Yep.
And, you know, online, you might lose money on initial acquisition, but you at least have numbers, and things things can abruptly change a little bit more stable because you have a list, you have customers, you treat them well and they're going to come back.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're in. Like, just, we take good care of our customers. It's like a very big piece of what we do. Customer service, and then just exceeding expectations. Like, those are things that have done us really well. And of course, there are phases in the business where we did not understand that, and we paid dearly for it.
Right. Was that early on, or what?
Early on, when we first started selling lots of stuff, we didn't want to say no to orders.
Oh, so are you saying no to orders now?
To some extent, yes.
How so? Explain, because I think that's an interesting thing. I mean, when somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to buy your chocolate," who are you saying no to?
If it's something custom, probably saying no. If
it's
okay. Like, doctor's offices, things like that. Unless it's some, I have friends, people that, they have clients on a VIP level. We will take care of people and we will do stuff.
Okay.
But when it comes to like anything outside of that, we don't really do custom orders or any like requests or anything like that. On a just a regular customer level, we could spend more on ads right now, but we're working out some things capacity wise. We could certainly acquire more customers, and that's getting better. And I would like to spend more on our marketing because, we're starting to figure out a lot of great things that are lowering our acquisition costs, everything. So yeah, I'd love to push that harder, but scale on the manufacturing side needs to, scale with it. And in the past, we've done it where we were doing, ramped up, doubling, like week on week. And it's amazing how that catches up. That's an intent. It seems fine in the beginning when you have inventory, and then all of a sudden, like, it becomes really, really intense very fast. And then if you don't sustain that, then of course you just employed a bunch more people, and now your overhead gets, it's a very, very, delicate
balance.
Game. Yeah. So you need cut. And so what we did in the past is, we would not, and this is one of our biggest mistakes we made in the business in the early stages, is we got, back in the early, 2017, 2018, you could acquire customers on Facebook for like $4, right? We could get, it was just like basically like printing money.
Right.
The problem was we would never say no to orders, but we got backlogged like 2 weeks plus we were communicating
because you didn't have the inventory.
Yeah, we were just cramming to crank stuff out, and we had 14 products. It was very complex.
Right.
Stressed out the team, stressed me out. We got very avoidant about things, and we didn't really have a lot of a very great customer service set up at the time. We had like a phone line. Sometimes we answered, sometimes we didn't. Yeah, we just didn't, And then one day I just, I snapped and I was like, hey, we're not taking any orders that we can't fulfill.
Right.
And I started doing customer service while things were bad. Calling every single customer where things are bad. And I got involved in it. And then I had to go through a few different people to take over our customer service. But now we have people that are amazing, that really, embody what we believe, like just taking care of people no matter what. And I think that's, you shouldn't take people's money if they're not happy. If it's a delay, if it's a taste, it's whatever. We're in the business of making people feel good.
Right.
Period.
That's smart. Let me ask you, because when you're trying to scale this business right now, you're going to obviously need more people. You need more good people. Are you giving equity in the company to these people, or are they just, employees, or is this like, what's your incentive to bring in and find good people?
Not yet on equity. Yes, in the future, absolutely. Probably going to be offering some phantom equity to a few people, key people, but not yet on equity. And there's a few reasons why, just structurally, where we're headed, especially with where we're at, being unsure of where our operations are going to end up. That's a big piece of it. But on the higher level, on the C level, if you will, yeah, absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely
makes sense. You need good people. That's typical in CPG. So is your acquisition cost, your lead cost now starting to get more expensive because of all the iOS changes?
Oh yeah.
Is that what's affecting it, or is there more competition in the market? What's really affecting your acquisition cost right now?
Yeah, a lot of all the above, really. But honestly, things are softening right now, and things, we've just gotten better at testing, and it's offers. It's all about the offer, right? When it gets to online stuff. Back in 2017, ad costs were low, and keto products were like, they were very like unique. They were very like few and far between. Keto was like a new thing. Everyone wanted to try it. So now it's like I don't even know that we're catering keto. We're catering people that want clean, pure, organic, healthy food. I
Right.
think that's really what we want. People just want the best stuff that doesn't have the stuff that causes the problems. I think
Are you
that's
guys gluten
really,
free?
yeah, yeah.
Or okay.
So yeah, I
Gluten
mean, we
free,
cover,
keto, no sugar, right?
yep, no sugar. Yep.
And
So,
what are you
organic.
alternative
Yep.
dairy?
Yeah. No dairy. Yep. Dairy free.
So you're like
Yeah.
hitting all the check marks in terms of like good for you, better for you product. And you cannot, I mean, when I'm being serious here, I mean, I'm not just, blowing smoke, but it does not taste like it doesn't have sugar. It tastes like it has sugar. I mean, this thing,
Right.
it's
Right. That
amazing.
bar that you had, it's just, I
Oh
have
God, it's
people that are
incredible.
super addicted to that bar, and they don't even know they're going to like it. I mean, that's what, we were trying to put something together on short notice for Joe Polish and his 100K people, and we just sent them bars. They like the bars,
Do they?
So
The
yeah,
bars,
they
the
do.
bar's amazing. Like I haven't
Yeah,
had all your products yet, and I'm going to definitely be trying these tonight. But I got to tell you, I need to get some more bars from you, man, because those
yeah,
things
yeah.
are fantastic. And I was telling some family about it, and they were like, "Hey, where do I buy this?" So we're definitely going to be, putting links on where people can find your products and how they can buy your products, and so that we can definitely help promote that, because I think, you're doing some amazing things. You got a great product. I love the story. You've definitely dealt with some adversity, and you've had some hard lessons, and you had to learn the hard way, and you had some sleepless nights, and you've had, to deal with product issues and customer service issues. And, it seems like it's all starting to get better for you though. And I'm really happy to hear that, the business is taking off and you're doing well. And I know that you have a good spirit to you. You're wanting to help people, which is really fantastic. And that's what it's really about, because at the end of the day, your product is a better for you product. And so it's not just 40 grams of sugar and it's a product that's, causing diabetes. This is a really good product, and it's something that you can enjoy and not feel guilty about. And I love the name Living Ratio, and we're definitely going to be putting the links and where you can find his product. And we'll actually add your Instagram and all the other links so that people know where to go. So question for you, and this is something that I wanted to ask, because are you the sole owner of the business? Do you have any partners at this point? So is there anybody else involved?
So I own 100% right now.
Okay.
Right now, there's been a few times in some dark moments where I've had a few friends lend me some cash, for sure.
Okay.
There's no question about it.
Right. That's
so, but never for equity. But one day I might just give them a chunk of the company.
Right. Have you had
That's
private venture or venture capital, I should say, come and approach you and say, "Listen, we want to invest. We want to. We want to put 10 million. We want to scale this thing. We want to go."
Yep. A lot. But where I want to go, I'm just not sure that I need to do it yet. I could do it, but I talk to people that have done it, and it's just not. I don't think that's what we need to do yet. If we're actually structuring things where we could do it. That's something that we're kind of working on right now. But yeah, I've had customers that are VC people.
Really?
That like some of our big customers, some like two of them that I can think of, that have approached us. But you would probably understand with venture capital, it is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It can be very good, but it can be a slippery slope. You could work very hard and then end up with not much at the end.
Right.
And it's changing too. The multiples are not as good as they used to be on when you're, flipping to other, as you're doing these partial exits and stuff, the multiples are not the same as they used to be. And we're kind of hybrid brand and direct response. We do a little bit of direct response to acquire, and we still try to keep, be branded as well. So we kind of invested in that, and it was tricky to do the rebrand and everything. That hit us hard. There were a lot of problems with it, especially with our email list, warming up the new domain, all that. Like we just recovered from that, like literally the last month.
How long did it take?
Like 6 months.
Really?
It was a huge blow, and it was a few little obvious things that we missed.
Okay.
So we could have probably fixed it in 2, but yeah, it was not the best.
But now you're kind of getting over that hurdle. Let me ask you: is the company profitable?
Yes, and it's been, this last year has been a restructuring year. So our revenue has been down from the year before, but hey, like if I'm to scale, like I have to set things up differently.
Sure.
So that's the that is the nature of things. So
Right. Awesome. So let's to kind of wrap things up here. I just want to ask a couple more questions and then just find out, like 5 years from now, right? If is your vision to move into that new product that you were talking about earlier that you'd mentioned and kind of go in a different direction? Is it to completely run those kind of two products side by side, all the chocolate and this new product that we're going to kind of keep hush for now? What is the big vision here in the next 5 years? Where do you see the brand going?
I mean, like I said, I want to take on the big guys like Starbucks.
Awesome.
I don't think
that,
the chocolate,
man. I think that's fantastic.
I don't think the chocolate will fit in that place,
Okay.
like necessarily. But I think I'll just kind of lay it out because the way I see it is like, an idea is a dime a dozen. It's execution that makes it actually happen.
That's true.
So what we're going to do is basically like where that drink mix, we're going to have a functional drink cafe where quality water is one of the corner pieces of it, right? It's least featured because Starbucks, like, they use reverse osmosis good water. They never advertise it.
Oh,
okay.
Really?
We'll do the same thing as
that's what they do in all their stores, you're saying?
Yeah. We'll do the same thing as them, but we'll just advertise it. Okay. And then it'll feel like a cafe. So if you're like an old lady and you don't know anything about health, you can go in there and you'll feel familiar, but we'll have the functional beverages in addition. So like if somebody wants something that's like, lower stress, that has adaptogens, that kind of stuff. That allows us to, do that, then we can kind of sneak those things in, but it wouldn't feel unfamiliar to someone. So, and then certain locations, sure, we'll have the chocolate, but I want it to be simple. And then, there's a few other things that it'll be in addition to, but it's going to be a very simple concept. But for me, the point I was going to make earlier is with online, there's wholesaling, doing retail, and then there's online,
right?
Both of those have huge vulnerabilities, right? Like online, Facebook algorithm, it changes again. We could be like belly up again for a while, it could easily happen because we rely on those sort of traffic sources a lot.
So, I mean, you rely on that, but I mean, are you guys using other traffic like YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn? I mean, is it just Facebook? Is that where your main customer comes from?
That was like 80% for a while. Now we're doing a lot more like email list partnerships, things like that. So now like probably 40+% comes from our list, and then probably like 20% comes from our emails, things like that, partnerships, whatever, and then the rest in organic, and then the rest comes from email or Facebook. So Facebook is like our main traffic source. We don't really run Google or anything like that, but we are changing that now because there was a time when Google seemed too expensive to Facebook, right? But we've just improved so much offer. Like I said, like the last 6 months have been so much restructuring, so much like creating new pages that convert better, so much like changing offers, like all of that has just, all the testing that we never did, because I wrote all of our own copy. I did all of our landing pages, everything, like even like most of the stuff on the website right now, a lot of it hasn't even been released yet, but like all these tests and things we've been running behind the scenes, like are just about to be unveiled. So like, I literally like beginning of this year, I was like, hey, like, it's like you have a supercar, right? And you don't, you have a few parts missing. Are you going to go out on a drive?
No.
Right? So that's
a good example.
That's pretty much where we're at, right? Like everything is like almost there, but we need to, put some oil in there and get it all going, right? Because I would rather kind of live on our list, and not crank ads until I know everything's kind of, tight. So that's kind of where we've been over the last few months. Like, in the last 2-3 months, things have gotten a lot better because of, just like our list actually like, like 4x, 5x our actual open rates and everything. So
wow,
we were like in some of our segments we're like 70%
open. So your open rate on email is that high?
Yeah. It's like that was how screwed up things were, though. We had to cut a lot of fat, and we still have about
how many SKUs?
We were at 14. I don't know where we're at right now. I know we've been skimming down, so probably around 7 now.
7.
That's basically just kind of throwing a number out, but it's something like that. Yeah, we've been skimming down. So
has anybody tagged you with like a nickname yet, like the Willy Wonka of healthy chocolate? Or I mean, you've heard it all, right?
I've been called Willy Wonka a few too many times. No, but it's interesting because I'm excited about this next leg of things because in the last I've kind of been under the radar for many, many years, just kind of
Sure.
grinding it out and making it work. This last year, there were two things, that I decided. One is like I'm going to build the business in a way that makes me happy because I built the product because of passion. I fell in love with entrepreneurship later, and then I kind of got involved in things that probably didn't give me the most joy. And I'm fine doing something that I don't love sometimes, like that we have to do it. That's part of the process.
Sure.
But I still want to structure things in a way where it's more fun, right? I think things can be fun. I like what my friend Joe says, ELF business, easy, lucrative, fun. I think it's a really great way to look at it. And there are ways you could set things up that way. There are plenty of people that have more joy than not in their business, and those are the people you want to be around.
Right.
There's plenty more that are lost and frustrated and annoyed and everything and every process and every person. But I wanted to find the joy in it because there are so many pieces that I love. I love the problem solving, even the hard stuff. I mean, how much of the hard stuff you've gone through, you look back with fondness, really. It's like, man, like, it's not like you like would go through it again, but like in a weird way, like you miss like pushing through the adversity. That's something that I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like it's kind of a strange thing. And the other part was I start asking for help and
Oh, wow.
get around. Yeah, because everything like that I did, like I don't know how to put it. Like, a few years ago, like I was like literally just revolving credit card debt, PayPal loans, whatever it took to like come up with cash. Like I got really creative at like burying myself into debt. But it's like all these things probably could have been avoided. I could have structured things more smart. I've learned so much since then, but it's like, if I just had a few mentors, I would have avoided all of that. But when you're younger and you have an ego and you just got something to prove and you think that oh, I did it all myself, and that feels
Right.
good. But now I'm just like, hey, like I've been, life has like run me through the ringer so many times now. It's like I'm happy to ask for help. I'm happy to learn from other people's mistakes and have mentors and like learn where learn where your mentors flaws and vulnerabilities are, because a lot of the time I'm sure people that are way further along than you, and it's like you can see where, hey, if they just changed this, they would have been a lot further. Like they're not perfect either. Like what are their limiting beliefs? That's something I look at a lot. Like what are the people who I look up to? Because everybody has them.
Sure.
So I try to like learn from them, but also even take a step further and be like, where could they even be doing better? How could I be that person? So that's been a huge thing.
It is an interesting thing because you said something about limiting beliefs and about mentors and mistakes. And you've made mistakes. We've all made mistakes, right? You've learned from those mistakes, and that's the key. Is that you figured stuff out. You had to learn some of it the hard way. Some of these people that were mentors in your life early on weren't necessarily the best mentors, right? And so you've been fortunate to kind of come out on the other side of it. It's going to make you a better and stronger person. And we learn from mistakes. That's the key, right? And if you're not learning from mistakes, you're sitting still. We all have limiting self-beliefs to some extent. We all have that negative self-talk from time to time, and it's
100%.
really getting in our head and really eating us up. And we have to, snap ourselves out of it. And sometimes it's a friend, a family member, somebody who's supportive, who comes in and says, hey, yo, look, you can do this, man. Look where you've come. Look where you've come. Look at all the things that you've dealt with. I mean, I know you told me you had went through a fire in California. You lost your house twice, right?
Once, but I've evacuated multiple times, but yeah, I lost everything in a fire. I had no insurance.
I mean, listen, your story is incredible, and more people need to hear this kind of story because it's an inspiring story. And that's why I'm so glad you came on the show. And I'm so glad that you sat down with us to chat with us, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that are in business right now that are struggling, that are about to give up, that are on the verge of quitting, that are having those sleepless nights, that are up right now going, what am I going to do? How am I going to come up with the money to fund this and do that? And you're living proof that it's possible, and that it's something that, anybody can do if you figure it out. And you said a key point here. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And had you done that earlier, maybe it'd be for a little bit further along, but maybe you wouldn't, who knows? I mean, it's just one of those things, but I think you have done an incredible job, man. I can't commend you enough. I'm really glad and happy to see you do what you're doing. And you're a great guy. So thank you. Thank you for being on here today. And so some words to finish out here. What message would you say to anybody that's listening to this, any entrepreneur, anybody that's in business, right? What would you say to them right now if you were sitting across the table from them and you had a chance to talk to them? What would you say?
I mean, it depends on the phase they're in, but I think ask for help. And the hard times are sometimes the best time. It's what makes you. When I was going through that with the fire, I was, I had lost everything. I went from living on my own to living in my girlfriend's mom's house, which then I got kicked out of. Great lady, but I did, because she got in a car accident and there's a lot of stress. And I was sleeping on the floor of my factory for a while. And I every night I'm sitting up, I'm listening to personal development stuff, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, all the good stuff. And I'm just sitting there, life only has a meaning, and the meaning that I give it. And it was very hard during that time to find meaning, very freaking hard to find meaning. But I look back now and I'm like, it made me stronger. I don't know what else to say. It made me tough and made me mentally tough. It made anytime I go through things now, it's just nothing, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I can take on more, because you hear people that, that say, hey, you want bigger problems. And the only way to handle bigger problems is to go through some stuff. So I think that you might be surprised what these hard times will teach you. And it's a good thing in a way to learn how to overcome it. But yeah, ask for help, find mentors, because you can get through it sooner. And then you can have bigger problems that maybe your mentors won't be able to handle, but at least you can overcome them, too. So a lot of things I overcame by myself in silence, but I don't think you have to do it alone. And now that's been a big life-changing thing for me, moving to Arizona, being around more entrepreneurs. I mean, this building is crazy. The people here, it's crazy. It's like being in a mastermind, just living in one. I didn't even know that when I moved here, but just on my floor, I got some great people, so it's cool. But then I, every day, multiple times a week, I'm meeting with, entrepreneurs and just something, whether it's a lunch or something, I'm trying to meet with other people, and we're helping each other. We're being vulnerable with each other, because that's it's not an easy life, right. But for a lot of us, I've had a very unconventional life, and the joke I make is I'm unemployable anyway, so it's we have to make it work. We have to. So yeah, ask for help, but some of your hardest times. Actually, one of my friend's dads, he's very successful in the private equity venture capital space. It's insanely successful. Owns some big companies, almost right. Single-handedly, massive companies we all would have known about. But I asked, I asked him, I was like, you ever look back on the hard times with some level of fondness? And he's like, well, I'm always chasing a bigger mountain, just looking for a new peak to climb.
I like that.
I was like, I love that. So,
well, it's been a pleasure having you on. I thank you so much for the time. Guys, listen, you definitely need to go out and you need to buy some of these chocolates. They are fantastic. We're going to put the links in the show, and we're going to definitely show you guys where you guys can buy these products, because truly, they're incredible. Really happy that we met. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us and share your story. It's an inspiring story, and I wish you nothing but success, and excited to hear about some of the new products and excited to see where the company's headed. And so, John, thank you so very much for being on the Command Influence podcast, and blessings to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy, and it's been great to share some stuff that I've never shared before, and excited to see where you go with the podcast and everything, man. It's super cool. So
thank you. Appreciate you.
All right.
You've been awesome. You've been a great guest.
All right.
Sweet. All right. We're signing off for now, and we'll talk again soon. I'll chat with you soon here.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.